What's up, Tiger fans? It's time to roar. This is Around the Bases with Big Al from the Morgan Thomas Show. And on the other 50% of my screen, the guy doing 80% of the work to make me look 100% good, it is Corey Welch. Corey, how you doing, man?
Good, Alan. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing all right. Look, had some technical difficulties to get started, so that was interesting. But hey, our faithful show host got on, showed us what was going on, and it's that one button you just got to click, Corey. And sometimes things don't work out like you hope. So look, hey, Clemson had a good weekend this weekend. They played Cincinnati, sweep. Always good to open the season with a sweep. Little trouble a little bit in that last game. I saw they won in 10 innings, 8-7, so that was kind of cool. We're going to recap a little bit of that here in just a minute. As I mentioned last week, I was not able to watch the games this weekend. I was out skiing in Colorado. If you want to call it skiing, I guess that's what I was doing. And I got to tell you, man, it's a lot different than skiing out here. You ever been skiing, Corey?
Never have in my life. Just a snow tube, and that's it.
Okay, so no interest, or you just haven't been yet?
Yeah, just whenever I was playing, you always get nervous. You always hear people breaking collarbones and stuff, and then now I'm just old. So
no, you're just old. That's
not as risky as you are.
So. Hey, I got to tell you, it's a lot of fun. I fell a few times. I thought it was going to be a long day after the first 5 minutes, but it got a lot better from there. It is much different than skiing out at Winter Place or snowshoes somewhere around here. That's for sure. But it was a lot of fun. I was a little disappointed that I missed all the baseball action. It was a good weekend for Clemson fans, of course, and I got a huge shout out to Houston Burnett. Okay, obviously one of the three hosts on the Morgan Thomas Show was sending me crazy updates the whole time I was on the mountain. I'd get down to the bottom, and I'd be like, "Hey, what's happening with the game?" And he did an awesome job, so I really appreciate that, Houston. Thanks for that. I did get to keep up with things through his text messages. He did that like a champ. So game 1, Clemson won 5-0. Game 2, Clemson won 5-2. And game 3, they won 8-7 in 10 innings. So we're going to go over a little bit about the players. We're going to go a little bit about the position players, the pitchers, the relief, that kind of thing. And then end up with a little bit about next week. Just a real quick thing about the South Carolina series next week. Huge series, of course. So let's dive right in here. First of all, I'm going to give you some stats, okay? I was kind of perusing all the guys' stats and seeing what they did this past weekend. I'm going to kind of go through the position players and get with you on the end. So catcher, Jonathan French, as we know, Adam Hackenberg is out. He went 333 with 2 singles and 2 home runs this weekend. First base was played by Caden Grie for, I believe it was the Friday night game. Saturday and Sunday, I believe, Briar Hawkins played. And Caden Grie went 333, double, single, walk. Briar Hawkins hit 200 with 2 singles and 2 walks. Then you had Pierce Gallo starting at second base, which I don't recall us saying that he was going to be the starter at second base. I believe we thought he was going to Monty Lee was going to go with somebody else, but Pierce got the start, went 375, 3 singles, 2 walks, so pretty solid from him there. Third base, we had Blake Wright. He went 154 with a double, a single, and a walk. Shortstop, James Parker, we kind of knew he would be the man there. He went 455, 2 singles, double, homer, walk, and a hit by pitch. So a great weekend for James Parker. Then we go to the outfield. We have Elijah Henderson, who he went 0 for 9, struggled a little bit this weekend. So hopefully he bounces back from that against South Carolina. He had a walk this weekend. Center field, Bryce Theodosia. Okay, we talked about how great he was in the field last week and that he struggled and was inconsistent with the bat. Well, he wasn't inconsistent this weekend. Thank goodness he is broken out of that. At least it seems like he's going to be able to do that. I know it's first series, so it's a long way to go. But he went 455, 5 singles, okay? So he was getting on base, which is what we need him to do. And then in right field, we had Dylan Brewer, who went 375 with 2 singles, homer, and 5 walks, if the stat line is correct. That's a lot of walks. That's a lot of getting on base. Yeah. I don't really care if you're getting walks or hits. It doesn't matter to me as long as you're on there. So that was kind of cool to see. Of those position players, Corey, that we all talked about last week and the ones that actually started this week, kind of who stood out to you?
I mean, right off the bat, it's the guy that got the walk-off on Sunday, James Parker. Coach Lee talked about him as well in his post-game interview. He believes he's one of the best shortstops in the country. And, we all saw him go to work this weekend. Doesn't really try to do too much. And I say that, and he hits a home run and has an extra base hit. And then the walk-off was almost a jack too. But, I mean, just the intangibles he can do, man. He's so good in the field. I think it was in the second inning on Sunday, French threw a guy out. And, I mean, he just did a great job of applying the tag. And, I mean, just a good weekend all around. So,
yeah, for sure. So I mean, look, it's really great that French had, such a good start. Obviously, there was a lot of concern with, Hackenberg being out and injured. We don't really know how long he's going to be out. Monty Lee's pretty mum on that kind of stuff. He'll tell you a couple weeks, whether that means a couple weeks or not. We had a a friend on the show, Jason Priester, on the Morgan Thomas show, and said he thinks he's going to be out for several weeks. So hopefully French can continue what he's doing, provide that guy we need behind the plate, kind of the field general, if you will. So that's going to be good. It was really good to see him do well this past weekend, anyways. So now we go to the pitching. Okay, this is what we talked about. This is what we harped on. We talked about how good we thought Clemson's pitching could be, and not only the starting pitching, but the depth. We're going to start with the guys that started on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Okay, Davis Sharp. All right, we talked about him last week as well. I talked about him being kind of a gritty player, a consistent guy, not somebody that's going to blow you away. And what did he do? Well, he was blowing everybody away. It seemed like this past weekend. On Friday night, I mean, look, he had no earned runs. He gave up 1 hit, 1 walk, and 9 strikeouts in 5 innings. Yeah. So that was impressive. So what did you see from Sharp that was different from the Sharp that we saw last year?
Well, I think the first thing he did early on was he really commanded the fastball, and then what I noticed is how much better his off-speed stuff was as the game went on. And then as the strikeouts kind of piled up while I was watching, I kind of noticed I felt like because he was pounding the zone, the umpire was definitely giving him a little more off the plate. But at the same time, when you're consistently pounding that, and he took advantage of it. But overall, I mean, he was really sharp. No pun intended.
No pun intended, right?
That's right.
Yeah. Oh man. So yeah, and it's funny. That's one of the things a friend of mine and I like to gripe about. The announcers will say that all the time. Basically, what you just said, they'll echo that sentiment. Hey, if you're hitting the zone, they'll give you that pitch. And it bothers me. I'm glad when it works in Clemson's favor, but it's one of those things that bothers me. If it's a strike, it's a strike. If it's not, it's not. I don't really care if they've hit it or not. It's kind of one of those things, but that's a whole other topic for another day. We're going to move on to Ty Olenchuk. And look, hey, you were the man that called out Ty Olenchuk and said what a problem he was going to be and how good he was going to be. And that's exactly what he was on Saturday. He had 0 earned runs, 2 hits in 4 2/3 innings. So him and Davis Sharp, very similar. Obviously, Sharp had the big strikeout numbers. So that was really good to see. 1 game in, so far so good with Olenchuk, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, it's the same thing, kind of the same game plan as they went on Friday night with commanding the fastball. Olenchuk, I think he ran it up to 94. And we talked about last week. I think it was more off air, the kid's a winner. He's won 4 state championships in football, has one in baseball as well. And I think they did a good job of allowing him to have success, but then getting him out and turning it over to the bullpen that we talked about as well.
Absolutely, yeah. The bullpen was going to be a big part of what Clemson does this year, and we'll get to them actually very briefly here in just a second. So last starter, we had Caden Grie. We talked about him, the phenom, the guy that was going to play some first base, going to be able to hit the long ball, and hopefully be able to dominate on the mound. Struggled a little bit in his first appearance. He has a 9 ERA right now, 3 hits, 3 walks, in only 2 innings. So he struggled out of the gate. What do you attribute that to? Where does he go from here?
I mean, he's going to bounce back. They talked, all off season and all spring. Well, he was one of their better guys on the mound. Maybe the nerves got to him a little bit. I felt like his delivery was a little out of sync early on. They did give him some wiggle room to try to get out of it. He just didn't have it. And, I talked to guys about that all. You're not going to have it every day. Just unfortunately for him, it was his first outing, but I fully expect him to come back strong.
Hey, Clemson fans are going to love to hear that. That's for sure. And then we're going to get to the bullpen. Okay, this is another one of Clemson's best parts of their whole lineup is their bullpen. Matt Clark, who was actually talked about as being a potential starter, they saved him for the bullpen, which I like. I hope he continues in that role. So Matt Clark, Rashesh Pandya came in. Both of them, 0 ERA, 1 hit and 6 Ks in 4 innings for Matt Clark. 1 hit and 1 walk and 3 1/3 for Pandya. So that was good to see. You mentioned kind of how much you liked Pandya last week when we were talking after the show. It seems like he'll join Clark as a kind of a big part of our relief, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think it showed a lot for them to run him out there on Saturday and then have the confidence to bring him back Sunday as well, especially early on. And he was very strong on Sunday as well. Kind of petered out there at the end, but that's kind of expected. Back-to-back outings.
Right.
in February. So. But Clark was phenomenal.
Yeah, so and that's what Clemson fans need to see for sure. That's been his role since he's been here. He's been that really good reliever, and that's something they're going to need moving forward. Of course, the starters are hopefully going to start going a little bit deeper into these games, but they don't have to go much deeper. You get good 6 innings out of somebody, and Clemson's going to be in good shape to win a lot of ball games from where I'm sitting. There were a couple of rough spots. I was keeping up, like I said, coming down the mountain with this game, and we were ahead for almost all of Sunday, and then we allowed them to tie it there near the end. We had a couple of relievers that struggled. Mac Anglin struggled a little bit. Estridge struggled a little bit, but it's early. So hopefully they'll get everything figured out, and we'll be able to have another couple arms that we can depend on out of the pen. And something I noticed that I remember reading from the text messages was base running errors. We were getting thrown out at home. Picked off at first. That's been something that Clemson has done a little bit. It's getting picked off first is something they've had some issues with in the past several years. In particular, do you think it's too much, too aggressive on the base pass? Kind of, what are your thoughts there?
Yeah, I think it's more being aggressive. And one thing to kind of keep in mind is last year they didn't have the video of the other teams and things like that, so maybe they weren't aware of the arms and stuff of that nature. So but you still put up runs. I saw a lot of good things they did base running as well, as far as going first to third and things like that.
Good. See, I prefer them to be aggressive. I like when they steal. I like when they take those extra bases, especially when you've got the athletes that Clemson has this year. It's a nice thing to see. I think it's the pickoffs. A lot of times it seems like they're going on first move from the pitcher that really frustrates the fans. You run yourself out of a potential big inning or something like that. Getting thrown out at home, hey, testing the arm, making the defense make a play. I've got no problem with that. Okay, right. I'm all for that kind of strategy. So hopefully they're going to be able to start judging that a little bit better and what they've got and what they're able to do. And I'm sure they'll probably get that stuff fixed moving forward. So look, Corey, we got a big deal going on this weekend. Okay, this is the Clemson South Carolina series. This is what every Clemson fan wants. Clemson fans have really been happy because they've owned this series for quite some time now, going back to South Carolina's run of championships. Ever since then, Clemson has really had the upper hand in this rivalry. So I'm looking forward to this weekend. I'm looking forward to actually being able to watch some of these games. So that's going to be a lot of fun. So kind of give me a series preview prediction kind of going into the weekend, what you see from South Carolina. You said you were able to watch them a little bit as well. So tell us a little bit about what you saw and what you think might happen with the Tigers this weekend.
Well, first off, South Carolina came out and really swung the bats. I think I got some numbers here. They hit 7 home runs and 356 as a team. And Wes Clark also won a National Player of the Week. So first thing Clemson has to do, from a pitching standpoint, is I wouldn't let Wes Clark participate this weekend. Have somebody else in that lineup, that'll get the job done. And they have a couple of guys in Easter and Mendham who have produced as well. But they had strong starting pitching. Thomas Farr, he'll throw on Friday night. He did last Friday. He's up to 97. So it's going to be, you'll have the flamethrower in Farr and the guy that'll kind of manipulate the baseball in Sharp on Friday night. So that'll be two contrasting, philosophies, but will definitely be. I promise you, they'll both get outs. So, and then yeah. So look,
you look like you were talking about. They have the arms. You were talking, I believe it was last week, about the fact that all of them could get. Maybe it was you talking about they could all get
mid
90s-ish, something low 90s, mid 90s, all their starters. That's a lot of power coming out for a weekend rotation for sure.
That's right, and they threw. They threw a lot of guys this weekend as well. They had a lot of games in control, but that they were able to get some guys, some innings. So it'll be interesting to see, how that kind of translates this weekend. As you talked about earlier on, kind of holding that pitch count back. I think we'll see those begin to expand because there's a little bit of something on the line this coming weekend. So
yeah, absolutely, for sure. Yeah, nobody wants to lose 2 out of 3 in this series for sure. There's some good games, and I usually get to go to some of the games. I always try to make it to the game in Clemson each year. It doesn't look like that's going to happen this year. The tickets are hard to come by unless somebody else.
We saw each other there last year. That's the last time I saw you in person.
Yeah, that's right, in person, which is a shame. It really is, Corey. We got to do better than that for sure. Maybe I can get you on the slopes. Okay, how about that? We'll get you down the bunny slope. We'll have you doing the pizza down the mountain. Okay, we'll see what we can do. So do you have a win-loss prediction or anything you're willing to give for the series this weekend?
Yeah, I don't think either team's gonna sweep a series this coming weekend. I think it'll be just like last year, where it'll come down to game 3. And as I'm kind of was looking at that, I mean, I think it still goes back to the bullpen depth at Clemson, and I think they get the job done and win 2 out of 3 late on Sunday. Like another one that we didn't touch on earlier. I mean, Jeffrey Gilbert was lights out Saturday in a save situation. Coach Lee talked about him not deciding to hold him out on Sunday rather than those back-to-back days. I'm interested to see if there's a save situation on Sunday. I think it might be a little bit different. So
yeah. So obviously, Clemson fans can tell out there that he understands what kind of gear I'm wearing. He couldn't possibly South Carolina was going to win 2 out of 3, and that's understandable. That's a good job. I mean, know your audience, Corey. Know your audience.
That's right.
You're very good with that. Look, so like we were talking about, Clemson, South Carolina, big series this weekend. Make sure you pay attention to it because we're going to recap it after the weekend as well. 2 great teams going head-to-head should be a really good series. Ladies and gentlemen, look, that's it for tonight's episode, but join us again next week as we recap the South Carolina Clemson series. It's going to be a good one, I feel quite sure. And we'll see all you Tiger fans as we slide into home.